All right, this is the video for the worksheet on 128. This is your last review day before the test tomorrow. Make sure you log on tomorrow and do the test, okay? It should be a very good test. It's just over exponents. Use your reference sheet. Hopefully everybody knows by now where to find the reference sheet on the resources button, right? So these are the exponent rules that we are using. And you're either going to be adding exponents, subtracting exponents, or multiplying exponents, or changing from a fractional exponent to a radical, or you're getting rid of negative exponents. And of course, we all know anything to the 0 power is 1, okay? If you're not sure, put 5 to the 0 power in the calculator. 3 to the 0 power. See what they equal. They should all equal 1. Never leave an answer with negative exponents if they're asking you to simplify it, and never leave it with a 0 exponent if they're asking you to simplify it. Okay, so here we go. What else was I going to tell you? Seems like there was something else. Oh, hopefully you watched a little short video on the warm-up so you will know how to multiply fractions in case you get some fractions that have exponents in them and you're multiplying them. I would highly recommend you go watch that very short little video. Otherwise, you might miss some questions on the test tomorrow. Just saying. All right, number 1. We are seeing which algebraic expression is equivalent to this, so we just want to simplify it. So when I look at this, I think, ooh, subtraction, or not subtraction, but it is a division problem. And I look to see, are they all positive exponents? They are. So I'm just going to start with, I'm going to look at 6 over 5, 6 over 5, 6 over 5, 6 over 5. Is it going to do me any good to put 12 over 10 in the calculator, or are they all going to be 6 over 5? Yeah, they're all going to be 6 over 5. I'm kind of lazy, so if I see I don't need to do it, I'm not going to do it. But if you forget, you could have put it in and you go, oh, 6 over 5, but every answer had 6 over 5. So now I'm going to pick just one letter to do. So I might check to see if they're all different. There's no m's in this answer. There's a single m on top on this one, no m's on this one, and an m squared on this one. So it could be that the m's are going to go away, or it could be that I have an m or an m squared. So if they both go away, then it could be either one of these answers. But anyway, I might go check the m's first. This is m to the first over m to the first. Are there any other m's being multiplied? No. So 1 minus 1 is 0, or you can think m cancels out with m. One m on top cancels out with one m on bottom. Either way, they just go away altogether, right? That m just goes away. 1 minus 1 is 0, and m to the 0 power is 1, which just makes it go away. Because if I multiply that 1, it doesn't change anything. So I have a single, no, I don't have any m's. So this one's in the hunt. That one's got an m, so cross it off. That one's in the hunt, there's no m's. Cross that one off. So it's one of these two. Let's go back and do, we could either do n's or p's. Doesn't really matter. If you don't like the one without an exponent, let's do this one, 3's and 7's, the p's. Now, it's division again, so subtract your exponents. 7 minus 3, I always do big number minus the small number. So I get 4, so this is p to the 4th. The question now is the leftovers on top or bottom? Since there were more p's on bottom, because 7 is bigger, that the leftovers are on bottom. So I've got p to the 4 on bottom. Which one of these has p to the 4 on bottom? It is f. So do it piece by piece. All right, especially when you get some big old thing like this. Which of the following is equivalent to this one? So again, we're just simplifying it. My answer should not have any negative exponents in it. So I'm thinking that makes no sense that they did that. If they had put parentheses in the answers, if they were trying to simplify it, I would say, simplifying, you shouldn't have that. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to start with the big coefficients. And I look to see, that's a negative 1/5, negative 1/5, but that one's crossed off, negative 1/5. Every single one has a negative 1 over 5. And if you put 2 over negative 10 in the calculator, it is a negative 1/5. So it didn't do any good to do that. So now I'm thinking, okay, I've got W's and W's and W's. Well, both of these have W7 on the bottom, so it's not going to tell me which is the answer. So I'm going to look for a different letter. I've also got Y's and X's in here. This one has an X squared, this one has an X squared, and that one has an X squared. So is it going to do me any good to the X's? No, it's not. So far I've looked at W's and I've looked at X's. I'm thinking maybe the Y's. There's no Y's in this one. There's no Y's in that one, and there's a Y in this one. And you know what? I'm kind of not liking the fact that they left the negatives in this thing, because that's not really good that you should leave negatives. But anyway, I'm thinking I may just have to go do this because they mixed them all up so much. I was hoping there'd be a single letter that would give me the answer, but it's not. So let's go ahead and do the W's. This is W to the negative 5, so I'm going to rewrite this with the W's. I'm going to ignore the 2's and the 10's because we've already done that. But I got W squared on bottom, and it's staying there. The W that's on top needs to come down to the bottom. Now it's a positive. The Y that's on top needs to come down to the bottom, and now it's a positive 3. The W squared stayed where it was. The X squared needs to go to the top, and the Y3 needs to go to the top. Now I have all positive exponents. I've rewritten everything. I'm ignoring the 2 and the 10 because I've already done that. So this is what we have now. I've got an x squared on the top, and that's the only piece that's an x squared. There's nothing else to reduce it with, so it's going to stay x squared. So let's go look at all these answers. There's an x squared on top, there's an x squared on top, and here's an x squared on top. So I'm going to keep all three of these right now. All right, so I've taken care of the x squared. I'm going to cross it off so I don't look at it anymore. Y3 and Y3. Oh, do you have the exact same number on top and bottom? Are they just going to cancel each other out? Yes, because 3 minus 3 is 0, and anything to the 0 power is 1. So those pieces just went away. So there should not be any y's in my answer. No y's. I like that. No y's. Ah, this one has y's in it, so get rid of that. It is not that one. I'm down to 2. Okay. W's. There are no w's on top. I'm just going to multiply them together on bottom. This is multiplication. So add the exponents, 2 plus 5, and I get w to the 7 on bottom. So which one has a w7 on bottom? Not that one. It is this one. So this is one where we literally had to go through and do every single letter. That's not always the case, but sometimes it does work out that way. That was just a mean problem. Which expression is equivalent to this? And they say for all positive values of the a and b. Not so much I'm interested in. I just want to simplify this down to one of these answers. So I see parentheses and I see an exponent outside of it. What is the rule when I have parentheses with an exponent outside of it? What do you do with the exponents? You multiply them. This is multiplication. So outside 1 times inside 1. So notice in this thing, I've got a whole lot of pieces inside. So it's the 1/2 times 18, 1/2 times 8, and 1/2 times the exponent, which is a 1. So write those exponents in if there's not an exponent already there. When I get done, I'm going to have 81 with the new exponent. I'm going to have an a with a new exponent. I'm going to have b with a new exponent. And the parentheses will be gone. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. 1/2 times 8, which is half of 8, is 4. And you can put 1/2 times 8 in the calculator. It's going to tell you 4. 1/2 times 18 in the calculator, or think in your head, half of 18 is 9. Again, do it in the calculator if you like. So A4B9. A4B9, not A4B9. A4B9, not A4B9. So the question is the front number a 40 or a 9? Go put this 81 to the 1/2 power in the calculator. So start with the 81. Do the rooftop key because we want to make a little exponent up high. I need a little box up high. And since this is a fraction, I'm going to do control divide so I can put 1 on top and 2 on bottom and then hit enter. So 81 is being raised to the 1/2 power. And when you put that in the calculator, you should get the number 9 because the square root of 81 is 9, and that is it. There we go, right there. Hi. Okay, this last problem, or this problem over here, we want to write it in radical form. Right now, it's in rational form because I have a fraction here. Now, does this 7/3 go with just the m, or does it go with the whole -8m? Do you see parentheses around the whole thing? No, so that 7/3 only goes with the m. So the radical part will only be the m part, right? The -8 is just sitting in front of it. So it is not inside, it is sitting out here in front of my radical. So it's not A and it's not C. The only thing that's going to make the radical is the m with the 7/3. So what goes inside? The m goes inside, bottoms out, so the 3 that's on bottom goes outside, and the 7 goes inside, so it is D. Now remember, you should be stopping the video and going and working problems and then coming and checking your answers. You need to be doing these on your own and then checking the answers. This one, the area of a square is 36m12n6. So they've already calculated the area. I know the area. And they want to know how many units is the side of the square. So we're going backwards. Something times something equals 36. So the two sides are identical, so they both need to be the same thing. So this is one side. So if I take 6m6n3 times itself, 6m6n3, it needs to equal this thing. So let's go try and see. 6 times 6 is 36. When we're multiplying, we add the exponent. Let me put a better dot here. When we're multiplying, we add the exponent. So 6 plus 6 is 12. 3 plus 3, because the ends go together, 3 plus 3 is 6. I'm thinking it's the very first one. I'm going to double check. 4 times 4 is not 36, so cross that one off. 3 times 3 is not 36, cross it off. 2 times 2 is not 36, cross it off. So A was the right one. 6, this is one from the old stuff where we're just finding out which equation matches the table. So easy way to do it with the graphing calculator is just put each of these equations in the graph icon And once they're graphed, you go do Control T to look at their table. And we just want to match the table up exactly. Make sure it matches several points, not just one point. So go do that. Put it in the calculator. Use your TI Inspire. Hopefully you have your TI Inspire calculator on your laptop. If not, you need to be contacting me. So pause the video, go do it, come back and see if you match it. Hopefully you did it, and H is the right answer. Okay, I think we have one more down here from the blast from the past. I want to know what line has a slope of 2 and goes through this point. Now these are not in y equals format, but they are in point slope form because it's y minus a number, x minus a number in parentheses with numbers in front of it. So this looks a lot like into my linear stuff, point slope form, which is y minus a number, x minus a number, and look, there is m right there, looky here. M is slope, so the number in front of the parentheses with the x's is my slope number. What did they say slope was? 2. So look at these numbers. Is any of these a 2? 2 of them are, so it's not B and it's not D, but it's one of those two. So then I can go put, well, you can't put them in the calculator, but you could just look at the point. Now remember on the formula, it's y minus a number. So if this is a 2, that's a positive 2. It's x minus in the formula, and so I just want to know what that x number is. If that's a 5, it's a positive 5. So kind of think opposites. So since this is minus 3, this is the point 3, comma, and the y number is a plus 5, which means there had to be 2 little negative signs there because the formula is subtraction, so this is a negative 5. So this line is going through the point 3, negative 5. Is that my point? No. I'm ignoring that one. This, again, the formula is x minus, so this is going through the positive 3, ordered pair, and y minus is in the formula, so 5 is a positive 5. So this one is going through point 3, comma 5 according to the equation, and that does match it. So C is the correct one. All right, let's see what else I have on here. Next page. More lovely exponent rules. Here we want to simplify these lovely radicals. I hope you know how to do these. These are gimme questions on the STAR test and on the test on Friday. You just put this, it's all numbers, just put it in the calculator, square root of 50. So on the add subtract screen, you have to hit Control and then the little x squared key, and that's going to give you this radical symbol, and then you're going to type the 50 inside. And when you type the 50 inside, hit enter, it's going to give you it in as a decimal number, right? And then you put each one of these in and find the one that matches it exactly. If you have more than one that matches it, then what you're going to, and this winds up being a positive number, by the way. So since it's a positive number, when you get the positive number, you can cross off this one because it's not going to be negative. And you just match the one that matches it. Now, if you get 2 that do it, let's say this one and this one both match it. Actually, let's say all 3. Let's say all 3 match it. Let's say all 3 of these give you the exact same decimal that you get up here. You're going to pick the one that is most simplified. So which one has the smallest number in the radical? And that would be D. So don't just stop at the first one that matches it. Go find every single one that matches, and then out of all those, pick the one that has the smallest number inside the radical because I want the most reduced, the most simplified. Okay? All right, same thing on this one. Go put square root of 75 in the calculator. See what number it's equal to. Put each one of these in, one at a time, see which one matches it. If you have more than one, look for the one that has the smallest number inside the radical of the ones that match the number. Okay, it has to match the number exactly. Go do that. Come back. Hopefully you paused the video. Hopefully you've come back now and the answer was B. I hope you all got B. These are easy questions on the test and they're easy questions on the STAR test. The expression, here's my expression, is equivalent to. That means this is equal to, and this is y to the n. Y to the n. I'm just going to copy this down. Now, I see parentheses, but there's no exponents outside the parentheses, so this is not a power situation. Is there anything between the parentheses? No, so this is multiplication, so I'm going to follow my multiplication rules. Y to the 4th times y to a negative 11. And it's going to equal y to some number. And of course, what do we do with our exponents when the bases are the same? You add them. 4 plus negative 11 in the calculator, and this number, because the question is, what is the value of n? So the only thing I'm interested in is what is that number right there. So if I add these two exponents together, I will have my new exponent. And 4 plus negative 11 is a negative 7. So I'm going to write negative 7 in here. Okay, that's simple. You just add them together. We wouldn't have left it with a negative exponent, but they didn't ask me to do that. They just said, when you multiply, what is that number going to be? Okay, 11. Big old messy ones. If you're doing these big messy ones, just start with just the coefficients. I have a negative sign in front of this, and I'm going to ignore the x's and the y's. I see multiplication on top. There's no parentheses on bottom. So here's my coefficient on top. I have a negative 17 on top times a 14. I'm doing the big coefficient numbers. I multiply them as normal, and then I'm going to divide by the big one on bottom, which is 19. I'm ignoring all the x's and y's with their exponents. So these are the big numbers. I have a negative 17 times 14 divided by 19. Put that whole thing in the calculator, and it will tell you it's a negative answer. So negative answer, positive answer, get rid of it. And it's going to tell you that the answer is 238 over 19. So 238 over 19 was the only one that has 238 over 19. It winds up being that one. Do I even need to do the x's and y's and all that messy stuff? No, you don't. So don't do extra work if you don't need to. Do the coefficients first, okay? Especially on a multiple choice test. Same thing here. I've got all this big ugly stuff that has to be done and lots of places to make mistakes. 64 over 9, 64 over 9, 256 over 9, 256 over 9. When I do the coefficients, 2 of these answers are going to work and 2 are not going to work. So here I go. When I do this, I look at the first part. I see parentheses. And what's the coefficient inside here? Just the 24. So I'm going to pull out the 24. I'm going to write it over here if I can do this without making it. And it's inside parentheses. So there's my 24. I'm ignoring the x and the y, and it's inside parentheses. No exponent outside of it. New parentheses. What's the only thing inside the parentheses that I need? The 16. Ignore the x and the y. So I have a 16 inside this parentheses. It's not a very pretty 16, but pretend it is. Is there a number outside the parentheses? Yes, so put that in. This is 3/2. It goes, that math has to be done. So that's a little 3/2 exponent up high. All over, so there's my fraction line. And what's the only coefficient on bottom? 54 inside parentheses. Is there anything outside the parentheses? No. So I can just put 54 underneath over here with nothing else. So all I did was pull out the big coefficient numbers. So 24 and 16, raising it to the 3/2 with the 54 on bottom. So if you go put this whole control divide in the calculator, and after you type in 16, raise it to the 3/2, don't forget to do that, and then put the 54 on bottom of your fraction and hit enter, okay? You just put that whole thing in the calculator and go see what it equals. And it winds up being 256 over 9. So that means A and B are out of the picture. And I'm looking at my two answers down here. They're still in the hunt. I have x to the 11, x to the 7th. They are different in both of these. So if I just do x's, will I know the answer? Yes. Y to the 4th, y squared, are they also both different? Yes. So I could either just do x's and get the answer, or I could just do the y's and get the answer. Doesn't matter which one you want to pick, because it looks like they're all positive exponents up here. So I just like x's because they're the first one, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to rewrite it. This is x to the 8 in parentheses. This is this piece times another parentheses. X to the 8 is inside there. I'm going to ignore everything else except the x's. Close the parentheses, but what's outside of it? The 3/2 is a little exponent up there, right? All over, and what's the exponent on bottom? Or not exponent, but what's the x's on bottom? X to the 9th. So x to the 9th, all inside parentheses. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm just going to simplify these x's. I've got a multiplication problem, I've got a division problem, and I have a power problem. You're always going to simplify the power first. Okay, powers come first before you do multiplication, before you division, because this is like having an exponent problem, and in PEMDAS you do exponents before you do multiplication and before you do division. So this is my power problem, parentheses with a exponent outside, so multiply the exponents together. So in your calculator, you just put 3/2 times 8. Just do that math, let the calculator do it for you, 3/2 times 8. Okay, so put it in the calculator. That winds up being 12, right? Yeah, it is 12. Okay, so that means I have x to the 8 times x to the 12. I'm just rewriting it. So this piece here became x to the 12. My x to the 8 is still sitting there, and on bottom I still have x to the 9th. There we go, okay? Now, I would probably go ahead and multiply the 2 on top before I do the division. If it's a multiplication problem, add these, so now this is x to the 20th over x to the 9th. So these two became 20. You added 8 plus 12, you got 20. Now, division. What math do you do when it's a division problem? Check your reference sheet. Here is my division problem. What do you do with the exponents? Subtract them. So back to my problem. Take the big number minus the small number. 20 minus 9 is 11. Are the leftovers going to be on top or bottom? There were more of them on top than there were on bottom, so the leftovers are on top. So I have x to the 11 on top. So let's go find the answer that has x to the 11 on top. Do you see which one has x to the 11? Not that one. So which is the answer? C. All right, we're almost done with this one. Which algebraic expression is a simplification of this thing? All right. So I see parentheses with an exponent outside. I see a dot for multiplying these together, and I see a negative exponent. So I'm thinking, you know what? I really don't want to have to do any more than I have to. And there's no coefficients. They're all ones, and so there's all ones in the answer, so coefficients don't do me any good. So I might just pick one variable. I'm looking to see x3 on bottom, x3 halves on bottom, x3 on bottom. So two of them have x3 on bottom, and one has x squared on top. And I'm going to check the y's real quick. I got y3 on top, y3 on top. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to do both of them either way. So let's just do one at a time. Well, I'm just going to do the power thing first here, just to do powers first before I do multiplication. I always do powers first if you have a bunch of things to choose from. So my power rule says, remember parentheses with an exponent outside, multiply the exponents together. Outside 1 times inside. So do not forget, it's the 2 times everything, 2 times 1/2, and 2 times the exponent of the y. And what is that exponent? It's a 1. So 2 times 1/2 means I have x to the first. 2 times 1/2 is 1. Here's my y. 2 times 1 is 2 times. Now, I have x to the -4 and y. This is well, I'm going to go ahead and keep it here. This is x to the -4. You could have brought it down to the bottom if you wanted to right now and put it on bottom. But I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and just do the multiplication. When you multiply x's times x's, you add the exponent. So 1 plus -4 in the calculator tells you it is x to the -3. 1 plus -4 is a -3. So there's my new exponent. I'm not going to leave it like that, but that's where it is right now on top. So right now we're all on top. Y squared times y. Add the exponents. This is y3. All right, there's my y3. Now, I'm going to move the x where? To the bottom, which means I have y3 over x3, and this one is now gone. So I'm looking for the answer y3 over x3. Look carefully, make sure you do it right. Y3 over x3. Yes, I'm double checking y3 over x3. No, y over x3, y3, no. So that's the only one that matched it, 8. So be careful picking out the answer to make sure you matched it. Oh my goodness, another big old messy one. Okay, I'm going to start with coefficients as usual. 50 over 9, 9 over 7, 176 over 23, 5 over... Oh, notice every single one of these are different. So all I got to do is just the coefficients and I'll know the answer. Now on top, what are the coefficients? See any parentheses? No. So here's the 25 in the first one. Variables, variables. Here's another big 6, and there's my variables. So it's just 25 times 6 on top, and I have a negative sign in front of everything. So here's my negative sign, and I've got 25 times 6 on top. 25 times 6. There we go. On bottom, any coefficients? Yes, that big 27. So there's my 27. I just need to go put this in the calculator and see what that is. And this is not a B, this is a 6. Let me make that a little bit better, 6. So negative 25 times 6 over 27. Big old division, control, divide, big fraction, right? So go put that in the calculator, see what you get. Hopefully you've done it. You've come back. That tells you it is negative 50 over 9. Negative 50 over 9. What answer has a negative 50 over 9? Yes, it is A. No reason to go do any of those exponent rules. Just do the coefficients. Okay? Bye, guys. Test tomorrow. Be ready.